If you're a nursing student or new grad gearing up for the job application process, I need you to hear this. I'm officially launching Application Advantage this Black Friday. This is my updated and refreshed resume and cover letter course designed specifically for new grad nurses. If you are a new Nurse Society member, don't worry, this course is already live in our school community. Application Advantage is the roadmap that I wish I had, and it's the exact strategy I learned from my experience as a nurse manager and hospital recruiter to help hundreds of new grads land interviews. And here's the exciting part. For Black Friday only, you'll get a specific discount code, and I'm giving away my exact resume and cover letter templates that I use with my career coaching clients every day. But the largest discount and the resume and cover letter templates combined will only go to the waitlist. So if you don't want to miss it, head to the show notes, scroll to the bottom right now, and join the Application Advantage waitlist. If you don't see it in the episode show notes that you're currently listening to, just jump to the most current episode and it will be there. If you're ready to walk into this next chapter with confidence, clarity, and a competitive edge, make sure your name is on that waitlist, and I will see you in your inbox on Black Friday. See you then. Hey, welcome to Life After Nursing School. I'm your host, Caroline Danna, aka Nurse Coach Caroline, and I'm here to help you, the new nurse, thrive in your career. As a former nurse recruiter, nurse manager, and now your personal new nurse career coach, I'm obsessed with making sure you don't just survive your first couple of years at the bedside. I want you to absolutely rock them. From the challenges to the triumphs, I'll be right here with you, giving you the real-world advice and support that you need to shine. Whether you're in nursing school getting ready for life after, or you're already out there in nurse life feeling overwhelmed or even questioning your confidence, I've got your back. I'll be sharing tips, tricks, resources, and strategies that are just for you. We'll dive into everything from landing that dream nursing job to slaying imposter syndrome, and most importantly, how to keep that spark alive and stay the vibrant and amazing nurse that you are. So if you're ready to tackle the things nursing school did not cover, like how to build a career, trust yourself, and keep your passion strong, then get comfortable because we are about to dive in and make nurse life the best life. Hey friend, I'm so glad you hit play on today's episode of the Life After Nursing School podcast. I think you're really going to enjoy this one because it's fun, it's real, and it's very relatable. At the time of this recording, I'm actually sitting in my hotel room right in the middle of Times Square. And I've been here for 3 days attending an Indeed Careers and Care networking event. And wow, what an incredible experience it's been. Just to give you a behind the scenes understanding of this event, let me share with you what the itinerary has looked like these past couple days. On Wednesday night, we kicked things off with a welcome ceremony at the Indeed headquarters just a few blocks from my hotel. There were drinks, dinner, and tons of mingling, and even a few familiar influencer faces in the crowd, which was really fun to see. The next morning, we started off with an hour-long stretch session, followed by a keynote speaker, which was Dr. Darian Sutton. He's a New York ER physician and a media contributor. You've probably seen him on TV before. His talk centered around feeling valued in the workplace, the role of AI in healthcare, and how we can better manage burnout as clinicians. From there, we had lunch and then a sip and paint session where we painted the New York City skyline, which was actually really fun. And then that evening, we toured the Empire State Building at sunset, which was absolutely gorgeous, and then wrapped up the night with dinner and rooftop drinks overlooking the city. I ended up connecting with two incredible women, Stephanie and Nicole, who run thriving online businesses serving healthcare workers. Naturally, we geeked out over all things entrepreneurship. We were sharing tips, stories, favorite business coaches, and other resources. It was the kind of conversation that fills your cup and makes you want to dream even bigger. Friday morning, we heard from panelists representing Indeed and Bright Spring Health Services. They shared so many practical insights on finding the right fit job, standing out in the application process, and navigating career opportunities. It honestly felt so validating to hear so many of the strategies I teach my clients and students echoed by these job market experts. One thing they mentioned is that they cannot stand when the interview wraps up and the interviewer asks the candidate, "Do you have any questions for me?" And the candidate says no. I have been preaching this for over a year. I literally have a resource just for new grad nurses centered around this, and it's called The List of Questions to Ask the Hiring Team in an Interview. It honestly was designed to help new grads appear engaged, prepared, and also allow them to determine if the employer is the right fit for them during an interview. And don't worry, I will add it in my show notes if that's something that you think would help you. So, of course, I loved everything about the panelist conversation because you all probably know by now that I'm so passionate about career navigation, especially for my new nurses. After that, we got a dose of self-care. We got facials, massages, manicures, the whole 9 yards. And it was honestly a really thoughtful way to close out the event. Now, as I sit here reflecting on the past few days, one big takeaway stands out, and that is human connection is truly irreplaceable. And I think sometimes we forget that, especially now that we are really diving into the era of AI. Nothing can truly replace human connection. It's powerful, it's energizing, and it's something that I think we often underestimate or maybe just simply forget. So today, I want to share a few lessons that I learned during this trip that I think can translate into so many areas of our life, not just career growth, but confidence, connection, and the way that we show up for ourselves and others. So let's dive in. First, you know the saying, it's a small world. It really felt that way this weekend. I met so many people that I had connected with online before, whether it was through social media, Zoom calls, collaborations, and suddenly there were a few in the same room as me. One of those people is my friend Elaine. She runs a business educating nurses on investing, and we've collaborated before virtually. We've hopped on many Zoom calls before, and it was during the welcome dinner. She came up to me, tapped me on the shoulder, and said, "Caroline, is that you?" And it was honestly the coolest moment. Seeing someone in real life after years of online connection is a really surreal feeling. It felt like I was seeing someone from the dead. We had a good laugh about it, that's for sure. And I had a few people come up to me during the event saying that they follow me on social media, which honestly really made my night. I don't have a huge following. I'm not one of those big name influencers, but it reminded me that impact doesn't depend on numbers. You're crossing paths and making connections with more people than you really realize. The next big takeaway I had from this experience is that some of the best mentors you'll ever have are the ones that develop naturally. Even though this was only a 3-day event, I walked away feeling like I had learned so much, not just about nursing or career growth, but about business and entrepreneurship too. Entrepreneurship can feel so lonely at times, so being able to connect with others in a similar space is actually so validating, inspiring, and motivational. This event wasn't specifically about business, obviously, but on day 2, as I mentioned, I ended up connecting with 2 amazing women, Nicole and Stephanie. They run a joint business called The Notes Ninja. You may have heard of them. I definitely recommend giving them a follow, especially if you're an occupational therapist or a physical therapist. Their business is completely online and honestly very similar to my own. We instantly clicked. We started talking about business, content creation, growth strategies, and that conversation did not stop for the rest of the trip. I think we really bonded when we all discovered that we're big fans of Amy Porterfield and her resources. So from there, it just turned into this incredible exchange of ideas, lessons, and stories. Nicole and Stephanie have been in business for 7 years, and they were so open about the ups and the downs, the seasons of growth that they've had, the setbacks, the pivots that they've had to make along the way. And it just reminded me that entrepreneurship really is a long game. By the end of the weekend, I felt like I had attended a mini mastermind just from spending time with the 2 of them. They're so authentic, transparent, and collaborative, the kind of people who think out loud, bounce ideas off each other, and truly root for your success. I realized that mentorship doesn't always come from someone formally assigned to you or someone with a specific title. Sometimes it's the people that you meet organically, the ones who inspire you just by sharing openly and showing up as themselves. We talked about everything from being moms and birth stories to military deployments, email lists, lead magnets, and memberships. It was such a beautiful mix of personal and professional connection, and I left feeling really inspired and re-energized. So this is just a reminder that if you're a nurse and you're assigned a preceptor, that doesn't mean that you can't have other mentors. You don't need to officially ask someone to be your mentor either. Again, the best mentors often come into your life organically. At one point during the panel discussion, one of the Indeed representatives asked the audience a question that caught everyone off guard. He said, "How do you eat an elephant?" Of course, the room went silent because what kind of question is that? Then he smiled and said, "You eat an elephant one bite at a time." Everyone laughed, but that really stuck with me because it's so true. We often get overwhelmed by the big picture. Maybe you're unhappy in your job, but the idea of finding a new one feels completely overwhelming. So instead of maybe focusing on the entire process or the elephant, just start with step one, which is maybe updating your resume and reaching out to a connection, which is maybe just one bite of eating the elephant, right? Or maybe you're a new nurse on orientation thinking, how am I ever going to handle a full patient load on my own? The answer, with one patient at a time, one shift at a time. Sometimes we need to zoom out and remind ourselves how far we've come. And other times we need to zoom in and just focus on the very next step that's in front of us. I've had to learn this lesson both in nursing and as an entrepreneur that honestly, one step closer is still one step closer. Progress doesn't have to be fast or perfect. It just has to keep moving forward. On my train ride into the city before this event even started, I remember thinking to myself, okay, what do I actually want to get out of this event? I pictured myself at the end of the weekend and asked, okay, what would make me feel like this trip was meaningful and a success? And my simple answer was, if I could make a few genuine, worthwhile connections, that would be enough. And I can confidently say that I did exactly that. There were pockets of downtime in the itinerary when I could have easily cracked open my laptop and gotten some work done, but instead I made a conscious decision to engage with other people, to talk to people, to ask questions, to listen, and to really connect. And here is something I noticed. People love to talk about themselves. If you show genuine curiosity and then you actively listen and you make them feel seen, they remember that. You also remember them a bit more in detail than if you weren't doing those things. They feel valued, even if you're just meeting them for the first time. I met so many amazing people, nurses, healthcare influencers, PT, OT, people in various healthcare roles. And of course, I met those two incredible business owners that I mentioned earlier that I had learned so much from. And again, some people even came up to me saying that they follow me on social media. So human connection and meeting so many people is really incredible. And it's an incredible asset that I think we undervalue. But another thing I also challenged myself to do during this event was to practice talking about my business. In my day-to-day life, if I meet someone or I'm talking to people, a lot of times like in my town, and they ask, what do I do? I really only give them the picture of being a clinical instructor because I often find people don't understand my online business. My business is centered around helping new grad nurses land their first job, and I help them write strategic resumes, craft meaningful cover letters, and build interview skills so that they can actually stand out as strong candidates in the job search process. And to me, it sounds very simple. But sometimes when I explain it, people respond with things like, wait, isn't there a nursing shortage? Or do new grads really need that? Aren't they taught these things in nursing school? And early on, those kinds of comments really fueled my imposter syndrome. Now, after I've coached and taught hundreds of new nurses, I've seen firsthand how much they benefit from this kind of support. So I know without a doubt that what I do is valuable and needed. So throughout this event, I started introducing myself as a part-time clinical instructor and a career coach for new nurses. And guess what? It felt so good. It didn't feel awkward. As I was introducing myself as a business owner and a career coach, the awkwardness that I normally experienced became less and less present in the conversation. And I found with every time and every rep of me practicing talking about my business and what I do, I became more and more confident and more comfortable talking about it. I honestly found that the more I did it, I actually wasn't bracing myself for judgment or confusion. I wasn't jumping into kind of validate why my business should exist. I didn't feel the need to prove that what I'm doing makes sense. And honestly, a lot of people understood it and got it. And maybe that's just because I'm talking to healthcare workers that have maybe been through it. One influencer I met, her name's Bree. She's so sweet. You may follow her. Her handle on Instagram is Bree the Nurse. She and her husband, when I was telling them my business, they both said, wow, we could have used your help when we were applying for jobs. And then Bree even went on to share that one of her friends could not find a job for 9 months after nursing school. So it was just so reassuring to have this conversation. And the conversation reminded me that, again, what I do does matter. And it was such a great confidence building moment. And it may sound small, but getting comfortable owning your work and speaking about it proudly is powerful. And it's like a muscle, right? The more we do it, the better we get at it. So that was something that I really challenged myself to do throughout the weekend. Now, the last takeaway that I want to share is a two-part lesson, okay? The first is don't be afraid to pitch yourself. During the final day's panel, there was a speaker who really stood out to me. He shared so many powerful insights and practical tips that I found myself thinking he would be an amazing guest here for the Life After Nursing School podcast. Now, part of me wanted to just introduce myself and then later send a follow-up email asking him if he would be a guest on the show. But I knew that was the safer route, and I caught myself in that moment realizing that the hesitation that I had was really just fear of rejection creeping in. And lately, I've been really working on being mindful of this fear of trying to go the safe route and instead embrace it and lean into those uncomfortable moments instead of backing away. So after the panel concluded, I took a deep breath. I approached him. I introduced myself. I asked a few questions. And then I ended asking him if he would ever consider being on my podcast. And he said yes. Actually, he said, hell yeah. He was so gracious. And then he even mentioned that he might ask me to be a panelist on an upcoming event, to which I said, of course. That brings me to my second part of this takeaway. Say yes to opportunities that you might initially want to say no to. And of course, in that moment when he asked me to be on the panel, I was a little nervous, but I said yes because, hello, if he does me a favor by coming on this podcast, I need to throw him a bone. And I'm sure in the field that I'm in, being a panelist in career navigation would be something that I would really, truly enjoy doing anyways. But I do want to share a different story with you about a time that I said yes to something that I wanted to say no to, okay? And it was a huge lesson for me and one of the most pivotal moments in my entire career. So when I was working as an ER nurse, this was probably like 7 or 8 years ago now, I was also in grad school earning my MSN in leadership and management. I had my heart set on being a nurse manager. So for clinical hours, I shadowed the inpatient nurse director who, fun fact, is now the hospital's chief nursing officer, which is the highest level in nursing you can go in a hospital setting. At the time, the hospital was struggling with high nurse vacancy rates. Basically, jobs weren't being filled fast enough, and it was becoming a major stressor for leadership. I noticed that the recruiter at the time was struggling at job fairs, which she shared in meetings, and these were meetings I was sitting in on to get my clinical hours. And in her defense, as a recruiter, she simply just didn't have the clinical background to really connect with candidates or speak to the experience of being a nurse employed at that facility. So I, of course, inserted myself and I offered to help. I had served on the hospital's nurse residency hiring committee for many cycles. I had been a new grad myself in the residency program at that hospital. I had started as a new nurse on med surg in the inpatient setting. And then currently at that time, I was an ER nurse. So I really could speak to the hospital's culture, avenues of growth for nursing, the perks of being an employee there, and just how great it was to grow in your nursing career at that institution. I offered to go to some job fairs. And initially, I'm not going to lie to you, my motivation was simple and it was actually quite selfish. I needed to complete my clinical hours and I wanted to get them done, right? Because once I was done with my clinical hours, I could become a nurse manager. So I started attending those job fairs and talking to candidates. But I quickly found that I absolutely loved it. I was able to share my experience, answer their questions, and just simply connect with them. Pretty quickly, leadership noticed the impact that I had on candidates at these job fairs. Application numbers were increasing and upper management was thrilled. When my clinical rotation ended, I thanked the director that I was shadowing for the experience. And just before I was about to leave, she said to me, "Wait, I have a unique opportunity for you. Would you consider being our hospital recruiter?" I was shocked. My heart had always been set on becoming a nurse manager. Never, ever in a million years did I ever consider becoming a recruiter. At first, I was honestly disappointed. But after talking it over with my husband and my mom, I decided, what the heck, let's give it a try. And you know what? I ended up loving it. I enjoyed interviewing candidates, analyzing resumes, helping decide who would be a great fit for the team. That experience completely changed the trajectory of my career and future. Looking back, I can confidently say that if I hadn't said yes to that opportunity, I don't think I'd be where I am today, running a business that helps new grads and new nurses land their first jobs. My entire business model is built on the skills and insights that I gained during that recruiter experience. So whether it's pitching yourself for something that scares you a little or saying yes to an opportunity that looks different than what you imagined, trust that it might be leading you somewhere even better. As I wrap up this episode, I want to circle back to the biggest lessons that I'm taking away from this trip because I think they're things that we can all apply no matter where we are in our careers or the season of life that we're in. First, connection is everything. Whether it's meeting someone you've only known online or chatting it up with a stranger or simply taking time to listen to someone, those small moments of human connection have a huge impact. Second, mentorship doesn't always come with a title. Some of the best mentors you'll ever have are the ones that you meet organically. People who inspire you just by being authentic and sharing their stories. Some of the best mentors you'll ever have are the ones that you meet organically. The people who inspire you just by being authentic and sharing their stories. Third, remember to take things one step at a time. You don't have to have it all figured out, whether you're job searching, navigating orientation, or chasing a big dream. One small step is still progress. And lastly, don't be afraid to pitch yourself and say yes to the opportunities that scare you. You never know which yes will change the direction of your career or even your life. This event was such a beautiful reminder that growth often happens in the in-between moments when you're open, curious, and willing to take the next step forward. If this episode resonates with you at all, it would mean the world to me if you shared it with a friend or a classmate or a coworker that might need a little encouragement right now. And if you haven't already, take a second to leave a rating or review on whatever platform you're tuning in from. It helps more new nurses find this show and reminds me that these conversations are making a difference for someone somewhere. Thank you so much for spending part of your day with me. As always, I have one hand for me and the other for you. Signing off. Well, that's it for today's episode of Life After Nursing School. I hope you feel more confident and ready to tackle the challenges that come with starting your nursing career. Remember, the first year or two might not be easy, but with the right mindset, you can overcome anything. If you found value in today's episode, I'd love for you to hit that subscribe button so you never miss a future episode. Also, please consider leaving a review on your favorite podcast platform. It helps so much in reaching other new nurses like you. Thanks for listening, and remember, you've got this. Take care and see you next time.